Okay, so you have Flipgrid to do. Make sure you go over these questions because you will have a very small quiz, 4 questions, 2 of them which will come out of this section, and 2 will come out of something you did on Thursday and Friday of last week. Okay, so let's get this started. When I was born, my father was 40 years old, so when I was born, let's call this I, and this dad, so your father's obviously whatever you are, your dad's going to be x plus 41. 8 years ago, so 8 years ago, your dad was x, obviously x plus 41 minus 8, which would be x plus 33, right? So that's just 8 years ago. All right, so 8 years ago, he was 3 times as old. So 8 years ago, so x plus 33, which is 8 years ago, he was 3 times as old as I will be in 5 years, and you will be x plus 5, right? And that should have been your equation. Okay, and so this is obviously representing your dad 8 years ago, and x plus 5 represents you, x, whatever your age, in plus 5 years. Now this becomes just a very simple multi-step equation. You get 3x plus 15 minus x on each side. You get 33 equals 2x minus 15. Minus 15 here, sorry. What am I doing? Plus 15, so we got minus 15 here, minus 15 over there. That's 18. I believe 2x and x equals, divide both sides by 2, and x will be 9. So let's see if that makes sense. If x is 9, your dad is obviously 50, and 5 years ago the father was 7, no, and 8 years ago the father was 3 times as old as he will be as I will be in 5 years. In 5 years you would be 14, and 8 years ago, he was 3 times as much. So 8 years ago, which was x equals 9, so that equals 42. How old am I? You're 9. I don't know what I'm doing here. So the answer is 9. X equals 9. I was just checking to make sure. Yeah, I'm moving on. 33. Lynn's father is a 4th, so here's Lynn. Here's the dad. So we'll call Lynn X. The dad's going to be X 4X. Oops. It's going to be X. The dad's going to be 4X. 5 years ago, which make the father's age 4x minus 5, and you would be x minus 5, right? 5 years ago, the father was 7 times as old as Lynn. 5 years ago, the father was 4x minus 5, and he was equal to 7 times as old as Lynn. How old is Lynn now? So 4x minus 5, 7x minus 35. We got variables on both sides, so let's get rid of this guy. We're going to have minus 5 equals 3x minus 35. So we're going to add plus 30 to both sides. And we're going to get 30 equals 3x, divide both sides by 3, and our x equals 10. So 3.3, how old is Lynn now? 10, and that would make the father 40. Um, $34 or 3.4. Their brothers, the sum of their ages, and their father's age, 61 years old. Jeez. So there's Ed, Carl, and the dad. 61. So E, C, and F. E plus Carl plus dad equals 61. Ed is 5 years older than Carl, so let's call Carl X, so Ed would be X plus 5. And their father is 6 times as old as Carl, and the father would be 6X. How old is Carl? Okay, so now that I identified everybody with a single variable, right, in terms of X, in this case I can just substitute. So it's X plus 5 plus X plus the father, which is represented by 6X, equals 61. X plus 6X is 8X plus 5 equals 61, minus 5 on both sides. We have 56, and then divide both sides by 8, and X equals 7. So Carl's 7, the brother's 11, and dad's 42. 3.5. Man has $3, ages 6, 3, and 1. And how many years will the combined ages will the daughter of his daughters equal 80% of his age? So we have 1, 2, daughter 1, 2, 3. And daughter 1 is, let's just call this 1, 3, and 6. These are their ages. And time is what I'm going to miss, right? How many years? Give me 1 second here. So how many years will the combined? So when? Well, I don't. So 9 plus t because I don't know the time. 3 plus t because I don't know the time again. And 6 plus t. Is this 6? Where do I get the 9 from? This should be 1. 1 plus t, 3 plus t, 6 plus t. So I want to know their time. So it's going to be right here. 1 plus t plus 3 plus t, because t is what we need to find, the time, plus 6 plus t. When will their ages and when will their ages equal 80% of his age? And we're going to go 0.8 of 40. When will that equal that? What's 8% of 40? 80% of 40 is 32, so we can write that like this. This is 1 plus 3 plus 6, which is 10, and t plus t plus t is 3t. We're going to do minus 10 here, minus 10 here, and 3t is going to be equal to 22, no, 12, 22. Did I do something wrong? Because 3t, well, you don't always have to get a round number, but these problems are not. 6 plus 3 plus 1 is 10. How many years will the combined age of his daughters equal 80% of his age? Six, 3, 1, 6 plus 3 is 9, 1, 10. T is 3t minus 10 minus 10. 0.8 times 40 is 32. What am I doing wrong? I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So t is going to be 22 over 3. I'll leave it as a fraction. So that would be like 7 years and change. 7 and 1/3 years. I don't know if that makes sense. All right, I'll come back to this one. It's 3.5. I'll make a note. Moving on, 3.6. The difference in age between Brita and her daughter Ava is 30 years. The sum of ages is 118. How old is Ava? So let's call this mom, and let's call this Ava. All right, so if mom is X, Ava is obviously X minus 30, right? Mom's age minus 30. The sum of their ages is 118. How old is Eva? So I know that if I add mom plus X minus 30, which is the daughter, that should give us 118. So this one is easy. Let me just remove the parentheses. And I get 2x minus 30 equals 118. I'm going to add 30 to both sides. And I'm going to get 2x equals 148. Divide by 2. I'm going to get that x equals, divided by 2, 74. So mom is 74. And if you subtract 30, you get the daughter's age, which will be like 44. Jack is 3 years. Okay, so here's Jack and here's Susan. Let's call Susan X. Jack is 3 years older, so he would be X plus 3. Right? So the sum of their ages is 27. So again, it's X, Susan plus Jack, X plus 3 equals 27. Find their ages. 2x plus 3 equals 27. We're going to subtract both sides by 3, and you're going to get 24. Divide by 2, and x equals 12. So you get one guy being 12 and the other person being 15. Glenn is 6 years older than Carla. So again, here's Glenn, here's Carla. Let's call Carla X, and Glenn is 6 years older, so he would be X, whatever Carla is, plus 6. Once you identify each, the rest is easy. The sum of twice of Glenn's age, so 2 times Glenn's age, in parentheses. And Carla is 57 years plus Carla equals 57. Okay, so 2x plus 12 plus x equals 57. You get 3x plus 12 equals 57. 3x equals, subtract 12 from each side, you get 45. X equals 15, and you can figure out the rest, 15 and 21. 3.9. We have Chris and Mary, so let's call Mary X. And because Chris is younger, he's going to be whatever Mary is, minus 7. Identify each of the people. And then Chris's age subtracted from 3 times Mary's age. So Chris's age subtracted from, so let me translate. So Chris's age is X minus 7. Subtracted from 3 times Mary's age, which is X, equals 43. But because, let me put Chris's age in parentheses, because the word is subtracted from, right? It's like less than, you have to switch the position. So 3x comes to the front, the minus day, and the x minus 7 goes to the back. It's a turnaround word, right? So these two switch places equals 43. 3x, again, then there's a 1 here, apply distributive property, so it's going to be minus x plus 7 equals 53. So it's get 2x plus 7 equals 53. 2x, and then subtract 7 from both sides, you're going to get 66. Divide by 2, and you get that x equals 33. So one is 33, and the other one is 20-something, 6. Okay. 310. How many of these questions are there? Enough. Okay. We got Ryan and Ray and Sig. So Ray is here. Ray is 2 years younger. So if Sig is x, that means Ray is x minus 2. 3 times. So let me type 3 times Sig's age, which is x, subtracted from 5 times Ray age, which is represented by x minus 2, equals Sig's age, equals x. How old are the boys? And again, same thing, subtracted from. So the 5x minus 2 comes to the front, and 3x goes to the back, so equals x. Now it's just a matter of solving this, and it's 5x minus 10 minus 3x equals x. right? So I get 2x on this side minus 10 equals x on that side. If I subtract x from each side, I'm going to get, and I'm just going to continue here. If I subtract x from each side, so I get 2x minus 10 equals x. Variable on each side, so I'm going to get rid of this x, and I do minus x over here. This becomes x minus 10 equals 0, and plus 10, x equals 10. So Ryan is 8, and S, who is Sig, is 10. 311. Adam and Victor together, 15 years old. Victor's age 50% of his Adam. They find the age of the boys. So Adam and Victor. Victor is 50% of his brother's age, of his brother's Adam days. So let's call Adam X. And Victor is 50% of his brother's age. So Victor is half of that, right? X over 2. So find the age of the boys. Well, we know that if I add x, Adam's age, plus his brother's age, x plus 2, that equals 15. There's a lot of things you can do here. One of the things you can do is what we talked about, they clear the fractions. So if you look at the denominator, the least common denominator is 2. So if you multiply everything by 2, right? So I get 2x. I multiply 2 times this, and this will cross, leaving me as x. 15 times 2 is 30. Now it's very simple one-step equation. Divide by 3, x equals 10. So one guy is 10 and the other guy is 5. The ages of girls, Ina, Mina, and Mo are in a ratio of 4:6 to 7. Their combined age are 102 years. What are their ages? Ooh, a ratio problem. So one of the ways we can do this, and I'm actually going to pull something from your 6th grade. So Ina, Mina, Mo. So if we create a ratio problem, I represent Ina with 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Who is this guy? 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the other one is 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I know that 4, this is represented by these 4 boxes that represent Ina. This is Mina, and this is Mo. So let me try Mo. So I know that combined, these boxes, all this should add up to 102, right? And how many boxes do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So I can write the 17x equals 102. I divide this by 17, divide this by 17, and x is going to be 6. So yeah, that was easy. What are their ages? X equals 6. So if x equals 6, this means that this is 6, 6, 6, 6, which means Ina is 24 years old. It's 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, and she is 36. And this guy is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which means 42. So remember this? Tape diagrams, right? From last year. So we can definitely use that. Mark and Mindy are 84 years old. 3 times Mark's age equals Mark and Mindy. So here, Mark and Mindy. And 3 times Mark's age equals 4 times Mindy's age. So 3 times Mark's age times Mark's age. So here's what I'm going to do. Mark and Mindy are 84. So if Mark is X, Mindy is going to be 84 minus X, because that's going to be her age, right? So, and then what does it say? 3 times Mark age, so 3 times x, equals 4 times Mindy's age, 4 times 84 minus x. And here's our equation. The key, I think, is separate these two with the first clue that they're both 84. Together they're 84. So it's, one is x, obviously the other one has to be 84 minus x, right? So 3x equals 16, 336 minus x. Add x to both sides, and you're going to get 4x equals 336. Divide both sides by 4, and x equals, 4 goes 33, 8 times 84. So x equals 84. What? No, something's wrong, something's wrong. Plus x, 4x. Really? 336 divided by 4 equals 8. 32, 16, 4, 16. So x equals 84. So the other person is 0. 3 times Mark's age equals 4 times Mindy's age. If Mark is 84 and Mindy is 0, that makes no sense, does it? 3 times Mark age equals 4 times Mindy's age. How old are they now? Ugh. Hang on. Mark's age. 3 times Mark's age equals 4 times Mindy's age. What am I doing wrong? Plus x is 4x, 36, 8 times 4, 32, goes 116. Let me write this down, I don't want to waste too much time on the video, so 3.5, I have to work on that, and this was 3.13. What am I doing wrong? I'll write this down. 3.13. Right, 2 problems I owe you. I don't know why. Can't really see what I'm doing wrong. 3.14. The ages of Jim and John are in the ratio of 3 to 7. If you multiply Jim's age by 4, so here's what we can do. Call this is Jim, this is John. So the age, the ratio-wise, right? Jim would be 3 times x, and John would be 7 times x. If you multiply Jim's age by 4, which is 4 times 3x, you get the same result as when you add 40 to John's age, plus 7x. Right, so we don't know what do you call, the reason you write 3x and 7x because we don't know what their ages are, but you know it's in the ratio of 3 to 7. So let's say Jim is 1 right now. Jim would be 3 times 1, which is 3, and John would be 7 times 1, which is 7. So their age ratio is 3 to 7. If John is, if x was 2, it would mean that Jim would be 6, and John would be 14. You notice how this ratio is maintained. So the ratio is 3 to 7. The reason you write x is because we don't know what their age is right now. So by establishing that, we can create an equation. And what am I doing? And if you multiply Jim's age by 4, you get the same results when you add 40. So again, 12x equals 40 plus 7x minus 7x on both sides. 7x, and you're going to get 5x equals 40. Divided by 5, divided by 5, x equals 8. So if you substitute that here, you get that 3 times 8, so Jim is going to be 24, and 7 times 8 is 56. John is going to be 56. So the ratio is 3 to 7. Right? And you can simplify 24 over 56 to 3 to 7. Okay, so that wasn't that bad. And then we have this one. 6 years ago, David's mom was 13 times as old as David. Now she's 4 times as old. Oh my God. David's mom was 13 times 6 years ago. David's mother was, so X, so let's call David X, and David's mom, it was 13 times X. Right, so now she's only 4 times as old as Dave. Now, and we're going to put this minus 6 because that was 13 years ago, 6 years ago, right? Now she's only, right, 13x minus 6 because that represents her age, and she now, she's only 4 times David's age, 4x minus 6. 13x minus 6 equals 4x minus 24. Variable on both sides, minus 4x minus 4x. We're going to have 11, 9x minus 6 equals negative 24. And something's not working here. I'm setting up this wrong. 315, I also owe you. Oh my god. Okay, this video is long enough. 317. 5 years ago, Ellen's mom was 7 times as old as Ellen. 5 years from now, she will be only 3 times as old as Ellen will be then. How old is Ellen now? Give me a second. Let me just check something. Okay, so what are we doing? 317. So the problem with this question is trying to do it with a single variable. And I don't know if well, let me just try this. So here's Ellen, and here's a mom. So let's call Ellen X and mom Y. Okay, let's represent them because that's not, I don't have any other information. And that's now. And then 5 years ago would be minus 5. Ellen was X minus 5, and mom would be Y minus 5. So that's their age is 5 years ago. And then there's also a situation 5 years from now, so it would be plus 5, and plus 5 years, Ellen would have been X plus 5, and mom would have been Y plus 5, right? So let's get their ages represented in a different situation. So 5 years ago, Ellen's mom was Y minus 5, and that was equal to 7 times Ellen's age, which is X minus 5. And then the second sentence says 5 years from now, so we're going to use these two. She will be mom, and mom is represented by Y plus 5. She's going to be 3 times as old as Ellen, X plus 5. Okay, so you will, I didn't want to do this, but you know what, why not show you. So here's Y minus 5 equals 7X minus 35. And what I'm going to do is, I guess I'll do everything in terms of Y. So in this case, let me do this side, Y plus 5 equals 3X plus 15. And I'm going to add 5 to both sides. If I add 5 to both sides, I'm going to get that Y equals 7X minus 30. On this side, plus 15 here, let me subtract 5 from each side. And that goes to 0, and I get Y equals 3X plus 10. So one thing I can do is that I can substitute now, right? So I get that Y equals 7X minus 30, so I can take this guy right here, and I know what Y is, and put this over here. So I'm going to end up getting 7X minus 30 equals 3X plus 10. Let's subtract 3X from each side. I'm going to get 4X minus 30 equals 10. Add 30 to both sides. I get 4X, continue over here, 4X equals 40, and then divide both sides by 10, X equals 10. So now I can come here and plug in here that 10, X equals 10, 5 years ago she was 5, and then 5 years from now she's going to be 15. So if x equals 10, I can plug it in here, right, to find out what my y is. So it'd be 7 times 10 minus 30. 7 times 10 is 70, minus 30 is 40, so I know that y is 40. And then I can do the rest and substitute. Okay, so this one is a little trickier. 3.18, Ed is 8 years, so I have Ed and John. Ed is 8 years older, so if John is x, Ed's going to be x plus 8. 5 years ago, minus 5, right? 5 years ago would be x plus 8 minus 5, which gives us x plus 3. And John would have been x minus 5, yeah? So we have the time now. This is 5 years ago. And 5 years ago, Ed, x plus 3, was 3 times as old as John, which is x minus 5. Find the present ages. So x plus 3 equals 3x minus 15. Let's subtract x from each side. We're going to get 3 equals 2x minus 15. We're going to add 15 to both sides, and we're going to get that 2x equals 18, divide both sides by 2, and x equals 9. So with that information, John equals 9, x equals 17. Okay. So we have Carl, we have Ginger. Let's call Ginger x, which means Carl's 2 times older than her, or 2x. If Carl were 2 years younger, so 2 years younger, so if Carl's 2 years younger, he would be 2x minus 2. And Ginger were 3 years older, she would be x plus 3, right? So let's see. If Carl were 2 years younger and Ginger were 3 years old, the difference of their ages, right? So Carl's age, 2x minus 2, minus Ginger's age, when she's 3 years older, x plus 3 would be 3. The difference of their ages would be 3. So this is what you need to set up your equation. 2x minus 2, and this is going to come out negative x, negative 3 equals 3. 2x minus x is just x. Negative 2 and negative 3 is negative 5 equals 3, plus 5 on both sides. And we get that x equals 8. So how old is Ginger? Ginger is 8, and the other guy is 16. Okay, so we got Ron and wife. So wife is x, Ron's going to be 6 plus x. And in 4 years, Ron is going to be x plus 10. The wife is going, x plus 10, right? Plus 4 years. The wife is going to be x plus 4. In 4 years, twice his age. And then 3 years ago, so I need plus 4 and minus 3. And minus 3 would be x plus 3 and then x minus 3. Okay, so let's see which ones we need to use here. In 4 years, twice his age. In 4 years, twice his age, which is going to be represented by x plus 10 plus 1, will be equal to 3 times Bev's age 3 years ago, and Bev's age 3 years ago is represented by this. How old are they now? 2x plus 20, distributive property plus 1, 3x minus 9. Let's do minus 2x, minus 2x. And we're going to get, these are bye-bye. 20 plus 1 is 21. 3x minus 2x is x, minus 9. We're going to do plus 9 on both sides. And x is going to give us 30. Okay. And x equals 30. And then that's it. Oh, let me go back and try to do that one. So let me go back to 3.15, which I skipped. Okay, so 6 years ago, David's mother was 13 times as old as David. Six years ago. David, and there's his mom. Let's call this X and Y, right? We don't have enough information, so 6 years ago will be X minus 6, Y minus 6, and then now she's only 4 times as old as David. So 6 years ago, David's mother's age, David's mother, which is represented by Y minus 6, was 13 times as old as David. 13 times X minus 6. Now, so this is a now, she's only 4 times as old as her son. How old is David now? So here is my 2 equations. So again, let's hope you double cross. So here is, now she's Y equals 4X, right? Let me simplify this a little bit. Y minus 6 equals 13 times X, which is 13. 13 times 6 is 96. I'm going to add 6 to both sides, and I'm going to get that Y equals 13X minus 96. And now I have a choice of either substituting Y equals 4X here. Instead of this Y, I'm going to write 4X, or over here I can write 13X minus 96. It doesn't matter where you put it. So if I substitute, I'm going to take this guy over here and I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to get 4X equals 13X minus 96 minus 4X on both sides. This sounds familiar. That's a 0. This is, I don't know, 9, 8, 7, 9x minus 96 plus 96 here plus 96 over here. What is that? 0. And I get 9x equals 96. And oh my god, make a decimal over here. Yeah, so I'm not liking what I did here. Hang on. 13x plus x. Oh, that's because 96 plus 6 is not 96. Negative 96 plus 6 is negative 88. No, it's negative 90. Sorry, this should have been a 90. That's my mistake here. That's all should have been a 90. Right? Because if I add plus 6 to both sides, 90, so x equals 10. Oh my god. Okay. So if x equals 10, right, I can substitute right here, and that's going to give me y equals 4 times 10, which makes y equals 40. So one is 10, the other one is 40. That's 315, which I owed you. Let me go back to 313. Mark and Mindy together, so I have Mark and Mindy together at 84 years old, which means if this guy is x, Mindy's going to be 84 minus whatever he is. 3 times Mark's age, 3 times Mark's age equals 4 times Mindy's age. How old are they? What did I do before? 4 times 84 is 4 times 4 is 16, carry the 1. 4 times 8 is 32, 33, minus 4x. Mark is x, Mindy is 84 minus x, right? Together 84, Mark and Mindy. 3 times Mark's age, which is 3 times x, equals 4 times Mindy's age. Why is this not working? Oh, okay, so I do plus 7 and plus 4 on each side. What am I thinking about? That goes by. I get 7x equals 336. Divide both by 7, and I have no idea what that is. 336 divided by 7 equals 48. Yay, it's an actual answer. So x equals 48, which means Mark over here is 48, and Mindy is 84 minus 48, which is going to give us 36. Okay, so this guy's 48, and she's 36. Now, why couldn't I have done this before? What did I do wrong before? 3.5. A 40-year-old man has 3 daughters. Oh, this is... So let's go with this daughter 1, daughter 2, daughter 3. Here are her ages, 6, 3, and 1. And we want the time, this times 1 I'm meaning. So 6 plus a certain time, 3 years plus a certain time, and 1 year, the daughter's 1 year plus a certain time. In a certain time, right, in a certain time, their combined ages is going to be 80% of his age. So, and this is the daughter, all 3 daughters, and this guy, the dad's age, it's going to be x plus t. No. Hang on a second. Hang on. And then what? And in how many years will how many years will the combined ages of his daughter equal 80% of his age? So let's do this. So 6 plus t plus 3 plus t plus 1 plus t is going to be 80%, 0.8 of 40, right? Which is going to be 32. T, and t is 3t. 6 plus 3 plus 1 is 10. 3t plus 10. And we got the same thing we had last time. So it's minus 10, and 3t equals 22. T equals 22 divided by 3, which is 7 1/3. 7 1/3. Equal to 0.40. Unless I write 0.840 plus t over here. That's going to give you 32, 0.8 t. Hang on a second. Yeah, that works. So I messed up. All right, so let me do this again. I know what I did wrong. So we got daughter 1, daughter 2, daughter 3. We got dad. Right? So right now, let's just call them 1-year-old, 3-year-old, and 6-year-old, right? And that is 40. Now, a time, in a time that I don't know, so it's going to be 1 plus whatever time, 3 plus whatever time, 6 plus whatever time, and 40 plus whatever time. The sum of these 3 daughters' ages, right? In, I don't know, it could be 5 years and 6 years, or so whatever ages they'll be in that point in time, will be 40% of whatever he's going to be, right? 40 plus, I mean, whatever age he's going to be. So the actual sentences should have been 1 plus t plus 3 plus t plus 6 plus t equals 80% or 0.8 times his age, which is going to be 40 years plus however many years in the future when this becomes true. So over here I have 1, 2, 3, and I get 3t. And then I have 1 plus 3 plus 6, so 3t plus 10, which is what we had before. And if I do the distributive property here, I get 0.8 times 40, which is 32. And 0.8 times t equals plus 0.8 t. Now I have variables on both sides. Actually, let me do the minus 10 first. Minus 10 minus 10, I'm going to get 3t equals, I don't know why I did that, 22, just goes by, 32 minus 10 is 22, plus 0.8t. I have variables on both sides. I'm going to subtract 0.8t from here. And I'm going to subtract 0.8t from here. And if you have $3 and you take 80 cents away, think of that. I'm going to get 2.2t, which equals 22. And if I divide both sides by 2.2, I'm going to get that t is equals 10. So in 10 years' time, the sum of the $3 ages will equal 80% of its dad's age, of the dad's age. So in 10 years, she's going to be 11, she's going to be 13, this girl is going to be 16, and this guy is going to be 50. Let's add 11 plus 13 plus 16 equals 40. Okay, so the daughter's ages in 10 years going to be 40. Is 40 80% of 50? So what is 80% of 50? So if you took 0.8, which is 80%, and you multiply that by 50, you would get 40. So we're right. In 10 years time, the sum of the girls' ages will be 40% of the dad's, which is going to be 40. Okay, and that's it. Please review your questions, and we're done.